Welcome back. We are 8 days away from the 4th of July, which means cookouts, fireworks, and oh yeah, some heavy-duty lobbying for the White House to pass the president's so-called big, beautiful bill. Riley Rogerson from NOTUS up late with me tonight here on the Final Five to talk about what's next in this back and forth. So the fact that I don't see you huddled away in one of those little cubbies at the Capitol right now says nothing's happening right now on Capitol Hill.
Right this second, nothing is going on. The Senate is trying to figure out how they can advance the big, beautiful bill through their chamber and send it over to the House by the 4th of July. But right now, they're at a bit of a stalemate. It's run into some procedural hurdles with the Senate parliamentarian, and we're in a bit of a holding pattern right now.
So we know the president had a big event at the White House today, kind of showing off some of these details, some of these plans that he thinks he can sell some of these reticent Republicans on. Are there any that are a flat-out no or a serious holdout that he's trying to sway specifically?
Right. There's definitely on the moderate side, you have Senator Lisa Murkowski and Senator Susan Collins. They've been a perennial challenge for our Senate Republican leadership to lobby and get them on board with some of these policies. In terms of Medicaid cuts, Josh Hawley has been very clear that he's concerned about the extent of where they go. We have some recent reporting this week showing that he might be movable, but we're not entirely sure. And then on the conservative side, you have other people who are concerned that the cuts are just not going to go deep enough, and that'd be like Senator Ron Johnson. So the question for Majority Leader John Thune is, how do you stitch together a coalition to get this to 51 votes? And Trump's going to be a big part of pulling people together here.
So is this a matter of lobbying the senators directly by throwing some bones their way, or is this a matter of the president going over their heads and telling people in these states, call your senator, tell them you want this?
That's a really good question. Well, we haven't seen John Thune really be put to the test in the Senate quite like we've seen Speaker Mike Johnson. And what I can tell you from watching Mike Johnson go through this and having to lobby members, it's taken a phone call from the president directly to get them on board. And when that doesn't work, we've seen primary threats. And I'm thinking like Congressman Thomas Massey. He has not been voting for the president's priorities, and Trump has threatened him with a challenge. So we're going to see this as the first real time that the Senate has had to push something through that a lot of senators are uncomfortable with, and it will likely take a direct lobbying from the president to get that done.
So over the last couple of days, there have been a lot of different rulings on things in this bill, in the House version, things that can pass muster if the Senate were to go through with it. Are there any big provisions that we've discussed that may not see the light of day?
Yeah, it's really getting into the specifics of these Medicaid cuts. That's been the really, really politically challenging part of all of this. Democrats are really eager to run against Republicans, saying they all voted for Medicaid cuts. That's really what we've been talking about. And today, the parliamentarian ruled that a lot of these specific provisions that would, certain ways that states can allocate Medicaid, those are going to be impacted by what the parliamentarian ruled. So yeah, we're going to see, that's what the Senate's really trying to hammer out right now, is what is actually relevant, what can they procedurally do with regard to Medicaid that will still let the bill qualify for just a 51 vote threshold rather than the Senate's typical 60 vote.
And speaking of the parliamentarian, so this is somebody who the average viewer is going to have no idea who they are and why they're ruling these things. But two things happened today. One was that Tommy Tuberville of Alabama said that they should fire the parliamentarian rather than go through these Medicaid cuts. And then, as you mentioned, the majority leader, Thune, he says the Senate will not overrule them. That seems to go back to the idea that the Senate's operating by these old rules that are the bane of the existence of many on the progressive side or the more conservative side, but more of a traditional view of the Senate's role here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I was talking to a member of the House today, a House conservative, Clay Higgins, and we're talking about, how's the parliamentarian going to rule on these provisions? And he said, I had to Google who the parliamentarian was. I had no idea. Like, I don't know. People, it's a person. This particular parliamentarian was selected by Harry Reid, so years ago, who will be making decisions about, what is relevant to the bill, what can qualify procedurally to stay in there. And yeah, like you're right that most people don't know about this. A lot of people are calling on John Thune to just ignore this procedural process, ignore the parliamentarian, and go forward and enact everything that the House and that President Trump wants in there. And you're right. He said he's not going to do that. So it's causing further tension, not just in the Senate, but also with the House, who would like to see him just plow ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Elizabeth McDonough is the name of the parliamentarian, which is a name we'll probably hear a little bit more about in the days to come. Hey, Riley, good to see you as always. Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you can read Riley's work in NOTUS, along with many other fine journalists who join us here on the Final Five. In the meantime, we're back with more on the Final Five after this.
I climbed a mountain.